Hello everyone and welcome to this feature highlight video. Today is a launch week special and we are going to be talking about product analytics in Memfault. This is a feature set that we have just released and we are really excited to walk you through some of the new features and functionality possible now within Memfault. With that said, let's jump over into Memfault and take a walk through some of the features. So I am over in Memfault now and I'm looking at one of my custom dashboards. Users familiar with Memfault will know that you can create your own custom dashboards and add charts and cards reporting on any of the data that Memfault collects. In this case, we have a custom dashboard built specifically with a product analytics use case in mind. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to show you data that would be collected from a Bluetooth connected fitness wearable. That fitness wearable has a couple of specific functions that we care about. One of those is our workout tracking feature, and another one is our newly released voice commands feature. And we're going to talk to you about how you can keep track of the adoption, usage, and performance of those features within Memfault. So first up, at the top of this dashboard, what I'm looking at is what would be considered an adoption funnel across these three charts at the top. So on the left-hand side here, I'm looking at active devices. This tells me how many devices have reported into Memfault, suggesting that they've been taken out of the box and powered on. On the middle here, we have the next step in our adoption funnel, which is active users. So in this case, we are looking at devices that not only have reported into Memfault, but have also reported in with a step count above 0, which would suggest that our fitness wearable has made it onto the person's wrist and they are actually using that as part of their day-to-day life. And then on the right-hand side, we have the next step in our adoption funnel. And in this case, we're actually tracking a slightly different data point. We're tracking users using our device for exercising. And what that is actually looking at is a custom session that we are tracking here, which is the usage of our workout tracking functionality on the device. So in this chart on the right-hand side, these users not only have powered on their device, but are also actively using the workout functionality on the device. And we can see, again, in all of these charts, a nice upward trend, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, I can do a lot of filtering of this data if I want to be more specific. Currently, this top data set is just looking at all devices, but I could do a lot of different filtering here. I could filter by software version if that was something that was important to me. I could filter by cohort, so perhaps I only want to look at my production cohort of devices. Or maybe some of this functionality I'd only rolled out to my test cohort. So I wanted to just filter down the data to there. I could do that. Or I can do much more sophisticated filtering now with our newly added dashboard level device filters. And that's what I'm going to go into now. So with dashboard level device filters, you're allowed to do much more sophisticated filtering. In this hypothetical example, let's say that my marketing team have done some regional marketing campaigns. One of them is in our San Francisco region, and another one of them is in our Berlin region. And we want to see if that's making a difference to the way our users are using these devices. So to do that, I could simply filter my data. So I've opened up this dashboard level device filter here and have a lot of different filtering options. Everything from a list of device serial numbers to a hardware version. But in this case, I'm going to specifically focus in on my device attributes. I'm going to pick region here, and I'm going to do my first group, which is my San Francisco region. And I'm going to apply that filter. I am then also going to add another filter and do the same thing. Again, another attribute, another region again, but this time I'm going to filter my Berlin region and I'm going to add that filter. And what I now see in these top charts is reporting for both San Francisco region and the Berlin region separately. So my A grouping there is San Francisco and my B grouping is Berlin. And I can see if there are any differences in usage trends between those two regionalized groupings. And as I mentioned, I could do the same thing for any of the different device data points that I care about, be it hardware version or specific device serials or whatever I need. I'm now going to remove these filters again and continue walking through the dashboard. So the next thing we're looking at is voice command usage. So as I mentioned, we have this voice command feature. This is a new feature that we've relatively recently shipped, and we want to see how well it's being adopted. So I can see that firstly, it is being adopted, which is great. And what I'm looking at here is a count of all uses of this voice command feature. I can see the trend is up and to the right, which is fantastic. What I'm looking at here is just a straight up report count. So this just tells me the instances of that feature usage. What this data currently doesn't tell me is this just a couple of power users using the functionality a lot, or is this broad adoption across my app? But I could really easily answer that question by switching the way this chart is built. So if I go into edit this chart now, I have at the moment the y-axis on report count. If I flipped it to device count, and I'll be able to see in my preview window here, I can see the count of devices that have experienced a voice command usage. And I can see there again that this is actually pretty broad adoption and it is growing across my devices. So that's great. I'm going to not make that change for now, but I could do that if I wanted to. The next thing I'm looking at is the voice command success rates. So of course, with this new feature, I want to know if this feature is actually reliable or not. And here I am looking at a count of successes versus a count of failures. The successes are the A bar and the failures are the B bar. And I can see that, yes, there are some failures occurring on my devices across my fleet when using this voice command session, but it doesn't look too dramatic, so I feel okay about it. Now, I could also segment this data further, and I'm going to actually do that to show you some of the other functionality available within charts here. So we can see we have these two segments already built. We have one that is successful, which is using our voice command session and combining that with a metric. So the metric in this case is, was the session successful or not? And in this case, we're looking at success equals 1 or successful, yes. And then in our unsuccessful segment, we're looking at success equals 0. But I could also add another segment and do some more filtering on this. So I would like to see failures not connected to see if the devices being connected or not connected makes any difference to the failure rate. So in order to build up that segment, I select my voice command. I add a condition, which is success, again, equals 0, because I want to see failures here. And then I'm going to add another condition, which is connected also equals 0, so was not connected. So this segment is showing me devices that have used a voice command that was not successful and that was also not connected at the time. I can just then hit OK. And I will see, there we are, that segment, the C bar now is the segment of devices that failed a voice command attempt and were also not connected. Now, what I can see is this doesn't look like it makes up even a majority of the failures. So that would suggest that probably whether the device is connected or not doesn't really make a huge difference to our failure rate. So that is great. I'm going to continue walking through the dashboard now. And the next thing I'm going to look at is the adoption of some of the specific features and the behaviors behind that feature usage. So we're looking at our workout feature now, and we are looking at the usage of the running workout type versus the swimming workout type. And what we're looking at specifically here is in those types of workouts, how often are voice commands used? So intuitively, when I was designing this device, I wasn't imagining that voice commands would ever be used during a swimming workout type. What I can see in the data is that I was almost right, but in fact, there are still some reports of voice command usage during a swimming workout type. So that's a really interesting insight. And this is one of the great things about Memfault, in fact, in that because Memfault collects data directly from the device, whether it's connected or not at the time, and from all of your devices deployed in the real world, you get these kind of insights that you wouldn't get otherwise. You wouldn't be able to guess at in testing. And also, if you had another product analytics solution that perhaps ran on the companion device, you also wouldn't get this insight, because unlikely when you're swimming that your device is actually connected to that companion device. So you might miss this insight altogether because Memfault collects data directly from the wearable itself and collects the data whether the device is connected or not. I get these kind of really unique insights into how my devices are used, regardless of the usage scenario. On the right here, I also have a similar data point, which is just voice command count by workout. And this is the mean count by workout type. So I can see that, of course, the mean count for voice commands used during my running workout is much higher than in swimming, but there is still some usage during that swimming workout type. The final thing I'm going to look at here is my battery life. So not only do I want to know about how my features are being adopted, the performance of those features specifically, and are they reliable or not, but I also want to know the impact of the feature usage on my overall device reliability and performance. So what I'm looking at here is battery life. So I can see my battery life trend over time. And on the right-hand side here, I can see my battery life by population split by devices overall. So all of my data, what does my battery life look like for all of my devices on average? So this is the median device, and the battery life there is 74.2 hours. And then in my other segment here, I'm looking at working out. So devices that are using that workout functionality, what is the battery usage in that specific scenario? And I can see that, of course, as I would expect, the usage of workout functionality reduces the expected battery life. So absolutely no surprises there, but good to get the confirmation in the data. If I wanted to jump in and investigate that data, I could do that really easily too. So I have another battery life chart built here. This one is looking at the battery life again for that workout sessions. We can see that the median is 43.77 there. And one of the great things that Memfault does is it makes it really easy to go from a fleet level insight to a device level investigation with a couple of clicks. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So I can see in this percentiles chart that the lower, fifth and first percentiles of my devices using this workout functionally have a much worse battery life than the median. Maybe there's an issue here, maybe there isn't. But what I can do if I want to investigate that is simply click down on the chart, and straight away I will be presented with a pre-filtered list of devices that match that exact criteria. So they match the expected battery life during a workout session within this range that I saw in the chart. And I can click straight into a device here and see exactly what activity looks like on the timeline. I'm going to zoom out to a week view so I get a broad view of everything going on that device over the last week. And I can see all of the usual Memfault data that I would expect. So Memfault, of course, collects reboots and trace events, and I can see those presented on the timeline here. And what I can also now see is my session-based data. So here I can see the occurrences of the voice commands on my timeline. So I can see there's a number of occurrences of voice commands. I can also see the usage of workouts on my device timeline. And the thing to point out here is, of course, the intervals are variable because the interval is entirely dependent on the length of that session. So that workout session or that voice command session. And what I want to do now is I'm going to drill down and take a look at some of these sessions specifically. So I'm going to zoom in on the timeline there where I see some voice command sessions happening and also a workout session. If I hit the drop down on this voice command session, I can see that each session gets a report of metrics included within that session. So for that specific session, what was the impact on battery life, for example? How much did the battery drop during that session? What was the state of charge at the time of the session? Was the session successful or not? This one was successful. This second one here was in fact unsuccessful. I can see all of that data for each session type. I can also see which workout kind was this. This was a running workout that this voice command was used within. And I can do the same thing for my workout session. So here I have another workout session. This is a unique session type. First one being voice command, second one being workout. And I can jump in here. Obviously, I see that the time interval is completely different for this workout. Of course, it's much longer than the voice command sessions, as we would expect. And I see another set of unique metrics in here. So I can see what the state of charge was for this workout session and what the battery drop was for this specific workout session. I can also, in this case, see the step count for the workout session, the voice command count, so how many times were voice commands used during this workout, and I can see the workout kind. So in this case, I can see that this is a running workout. So that's an idea of how easy it is to go from dashboard, all fleet level data into specific device experiencing those specific trends and actions. There's another way I can do this, which if I go into my list of devices, Memfault holds an inventory of all of the devices that have checked in, and I can filter this list of devices based on all sorts of different criteria, similar to what I showed earlier at the dashboard level, but this time searching through all of my devices. So if I wanted to get into some of those devices that have used some of this functionality, I could add a historical data filter. I could pick to see devices that have a workout count above 0. And here we are, I have a pre-filtered list of devices that match that specific condition. And again, I can click in, take a look at the timeline and see what is going on that specific device. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this preview of the product analytics functionality in Memfault. If you have any questions or want to know more about the product analytics functionality of Memfault, please speak to our team and we'd be happy to help. Otherwise, we hope you enjoyed this feature highlight. We hope you enjoy launch week and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.